The xenobiologist stood before the council chamber, her scales flickering through colors that betrayed her confusion. She had studied 17 species across the galaxy, cataloged their evolutionary paths, understood their survival mechanisms. But humans made no sense. They should be extinct, she said, her voice translating through the chamber's universal systems. Every analysis I have run confirms this. The death world they evolved on was designed by physics itself to eliminate complex life. The council members shifted in their various seats, chairs, and suspension fields. They had all read her report. The human homeworld, Earth, registered as a Class 12 hazard on the galactic scale. Only 3 other Class 12 worlds had ever produced sapient life. And those species had taken 500 million years longer than humans to reach space. Explain the specifics, the council elder requested. His tentacles curling with interest, the xenobiologist activated the holographic display. Earth materialized before them, spinning peacefully, deceptively beautiful with its blues and whites and greens. Numbers began scrolling beside it. Their gravity is crushing. 0.98 standard units. Most species evolved under 0.4 to 0.6. The humans developed bipedal locomotion under nearly double optimal gravity. Their bones are dense, their muscles overbuilt, their hearts work constantly against this pull. Every moment of their existence is resistance training. She brought up molecular diagrams. Their atmosphere contains 21% free oxygen. This is catastrophic. Oxygen is corrosive. It ages cells, damages DNA, creates destructive radicals that tear through tissue. Most species breathe oxygen mixtures of 3 to 8%. Humans evolved in a constant state of controlled burning. They literally rust from the inside. A council member from a methane-breathing species clicked in disbelief. How do they manage cellular repair? They do not manage it well, the xenobiologist said. Humans age rapidly. Their average lifespan is only 0.3 galactic standard. They evolved accepting that their own atmosphere would kill them, and they just got faster at living. She expanded the image, showing Earth's magnetic field. Their planet's magnetic field fluctuates wildly. Solar radiation bombards their surface constantly. Their ozone layer is thin, damaged by volcanic activity throughout their evolution. They developed complex DNA repair mechanisms, yes, but also something else. Something we have never seen. The display showed human genetic sequences. They incorporated the damage. Their DNA is riddled with viral code, ancient infections that should have destroyed their species. Instead, they kept the useful parts. 8% of human DNA is from retroviruses. They turned their diseases into features. Impossible, someone whispered. I thought so too. The xenobiologist's colors shifted to amber, the shade of reluctant acceptance. But there is more. Their planet's axial tilt is severe. 23 degrees. This creates extreme seasonal variation. Temperatures in habitable zones swing 40 degrees in a standard cycle. Humans spread across their entire planet anyway. We found them in frozen wastelands at -40 degrees, in deserts at +50 degrees. They made clothing, fire, shelter. They adapted their environment instead of waiting for evolution. She pulled up archaeological data. 70,000 years ago, a supervolcano nearly ended them. Global temperatures dropped. Sunlight dimmed. Their population crashed to perhaps 10,000 individuals. Genetic analysis shows they passed through this bottleneck with almost no diversity. They should have gone extinct from inbreeding. But they recovered, the elder stated. They exploded, the xenobiologist corrected. Within 30,000 years, they had spread across every landmass on their planet. They walked across ice bridges, sailed across oceans in primitive vessels, crossed deserts that killed most of their attempts. They died in the thousands to expand. Each death taught the survivors. They learned from failure in ways we never documented. The display shifted to show human history. They domesticated prey animals that could kill them. They ate plants that were poisonous and learned to process them. When they lacked the biological ability, they invented it. No fur? Make clothing. No claws? Craft knives. Cannot run fast? Throw spears. Cannot throw far? Invent the bow, the atlatla, the sling. They turned their weakness into a method. Surely other species do this, a council member objected. Not like humans. The xenobiologist's colors deepened to dark blue, the shade of fear mixed with awe. Other species use tools. Humans became tools. They reshaped their hands over millions of years to grip and throw. They lost speed to gain endurance and ran prey to exhaustion over days. They kept walking upright, even though it made them slower because it freed their hands. They chose versatility over specialization. She brought up medical data from the human delegation currently in orbit. Look at their biology now. Their immune systems fight battles every day that would hospitalize any of us. They carry bacteria in their digestive systems that will be classified as bioweapons on most worlds. These bacteria help them digest food. They co-evolved with their own infections. The chamber fell silent. The xenobiologist continued, her voice quieter now. When humans achieved spaceflight, we thought they would need extensive genetic modification to survive in standard galactic environments. We were wrong. They need modification to not accidentally poison everyone else. A human sneeze contains enough foreign biological material to shut down a station's life support. They wear filters not to protect themselves, but to protect us. The council elder leaned forward. What is your conclusion, xenobiologist? Her scales flashed white, the color of scientific certainty facing the inexplicable. Humans did not survive their world. They conquered it. Every challenge that should have killed them made them stronger. They are what happens when a species refuses to accept extinction. The question before this council is not whether humans are dangerous. The question is whether we want them as allies, or if we want to discover what they become when threatened. The human ambassador sat across from the collective's military analyst. His posture relaxed in a way that made the analyst's sensor clusters twitch with unease. Humans did not register threats properly. This one sat in a room designed to intimidate, surrounded by representatives of species that had conquered their sectors through force. And he looked comfortable. You have read the xenobiologist's report, the analyst said. It was not a question. I have, the ambassador replied. Interesting reading. She got most of it right. Most of it? The ambassador smiled, showing his teeth. The analyst knew this was meant to be friendly, but the primate threat display was difficult to ignore. All those flat teeth evolved for tearing and grinding. Omnivore adaptations. Humans could eat almost anything. She focused on what almost killed us, the ambassador said. She missed what we did with those experiences. The analyst accessed files, projecting them into the space between them. We have compiled our own data. Human warfare is particularly instructive. Battle footage played across multiple screens. Humans in combat across their history. Bronze Age warriors, medieval knights, modern soldiers, space marines in powered armor. The progression was rapid, violent, innovative. You fight each other constantly, the analyst observed. We did, the ambassador acknowledged. Past tense mostly. We unified about 200 years ago. But yes, for most of our history, we fought ourselves. Why? The human considered this. Resources, territory, religion, politics, revenge. Sometimes just because we could. We are a competitive species. We evolved in small tribes competing for survival. Those instincts do not simply vanish. The analyst highlighted a sequence. This footage shows human soldiers operating for 72 hours without sleep, in hostile territory while wounded. Explain. Adrenaline, the ambassador said simply. Our bodies flood with chemicals during stress. Heart rate increases, pain suppression activates, energy reserves open up. We can temporarily exceed our normal limitations when survival requires it. Most species have something similar. Not like this. The analyst expanded the medical readouts. These humans were clinically exhausted. Their bodies were shutting down. They should have collapsed. Instead, they completed their mission, returned to base, and only then did they allow themselves to lose consciousness. This is not automatic response. This is willpower. The ambassador nodded slowly. You are not wrong. Humans are stubborn. Our brains can override our bodies. Sometimes that kills us. Sometimes it saves us. More footage appeared. Humans in spacesuits repairing a damaged vessel while it tumbled through a debris field. The mathematical probability of survival was negligible. They survived anyway. You take unreasonable risks, the analyst stated. We take calculated risks, the ambassador corrected. Sometimes the calculation is wrong. But doing nothing is also a choice, and often the deadliest one. You are trying to understand if humans are a threat to the collective. That is what this meeting is actually about. The analyst froze. Humans were disturbingly perceptive. Your species has capabilities that concern the collective. We must assess. I understand. The ambassador stood, walking to the view screen showing the station's exterior, the galaxy beyond. Let me tell you what humans learned from almost dying for 3 million years. We learned that nothing is permanent. Not safety, not success, not even our own existence. We learned that the universe does not care about fairness. We learned that survival is not a right. It is something you earn every single day. He turned back to the analyst. But we also learned something else. We learned that cooperation works. That a group of weak individuals can overcome a strong threat. That sharing knowledge makes everyone stronger. That diversity is not weakness. It is adaptability. Every human culture developed these concepts independently because they work. Your wars suggest otherwise. Our wars taught us those lessons, the ambassador said quietly. Do you know what finally unified humanity? It was not wisdom. It was not enlightenment. It was exhaustion. We fought 2 global wars within 30 years. Billions died. We developed weapons that could sterilize our entire planet. We stood at the edge of extinction again, but this time by our own hand. The footage changed. Mushroom clouds rising over cities. Populations burned or poisoned. The aftermath of human nuclear warfare. We horrified ourselves, the ambassador continued. We looked at what we had done and realized we had a choice. We could keep fighting until we destroyed everything, or we could try something different. So we tried cooperation. It was messy, imperfect, full of setbacks. But we kept trying because the alternative was extinction, and humans do not accept extinction. The analyst processed this. You unified through fear of yourselves. We unified through understanding our own capacity for destruction and choosing restraint. Those are different things. And now you meet other species. Species with resources you want, territory you might desire. What stops you from reverting? The ambassador returned to his seat. The same thing that unified us. We understand now what competition costs. We have been predators and prey, conquerors and conquered, throughout our history. We have been on every side of conflict. We know what it feels like to be threatened. This gives us empathy. Empathy is not strategy. Empathy is the only strategy that lasts, the ambassador replied. Conquest fails. Empires collapse. Fear breeds resentment. But cooperation, trade, mutual benefit, these create stability. Humans want stability now. We had enough chaos. The analyst displayed new data. Your economic projections show humans expanding rapidly through collective space. Mining operations, colonies, trade networks. You are not staying contained. No, the ambassador agreed. We are not. Because staying contained is death. Not immediate death, but evolutionary death. Stagnation. Humans expand or we die. But expansion does not mean conquest. There are unclaimed systems, resources no one uses, opportunities for mutual development. We are happy to share space with others, until resources become scarce. The ambassador met the analyst's visual sensors directly. If resources become scarce, humans will build more efficient systems. We will find alternatives. We will innovate. This is what we do. We survived a planet that was trying to kill us by getting creative. We will not suddenly become stupid because we left it. You are very confident in your species. I am realistic about my species. Humans are not perfect. We make mistakes. We have biases, prejudices, flaws. Individual humans can be petty, cruel, short-sighted. But collectively, over time, we trend towards survival. And we have learned that in a galaxy full of other species, survival means coexistence. The analyst compiled the data, the interviews, the observations. The conclusion remained uncertain. Humans were powerful, adaptable, dangerous. But they were also cooperative, innovative, capable of long-term thinking. They were predators who had domesticated themselves without losing their edge. What happens if another species threatens humanity? The analyst asked finally. The ambassador's expression became something harder. Then that species learns what 3 million years of survival pressure created. Humans do not surrender. We do not accept extinction. We will use every advantage we have, every piece of technology we can develop, every alliance we can forge. We will be creative, relentless, and if necessary, terrifying. Because that is what almost dying repeatedly taught us. You do not win by being fair. You win by surviving. That sounds like a threat. It is a fact, the ambassador said. But it is also a promise. Humans are loyal to our allies. Species that treat us with respect, that trade fairly, that honor agreements, they become our friends. And humans protect our friends with the same intensity we protect ourselves. You want to know if humans are dangerous? Yes, we absolutely are. The question is whether you want that danger pointed at you or beside you. The Deep Space Monitoring Station detected them first. Ships emerging from jump space at the edge of the collective's territory. Not human ships. Something else. Something that did not respond to hails and immediately began broadcasting a message on all frequencies. The message was simple: surrender or die. The species called themselves the Krovar Ascendancy. They had been expanding through unpopulated space for 2 centuries, building their fleets, preparing. They had watched the collective grow soft with peace, complacent with prosperity. They had analyzed the member species and found them weak. Diplomats and traders, scientists and artists. Nothing that would resist a proper military force. They had not specifically analyzed humans. Humans were too new, too minor. Barely a decade in the collective. Insignificant. This was their mistake. The first. Krovar assault hit a mining colony on a border world. 3 species lived there. Methane-breathing Kelthans, silicon-based wrecks, and about 300 humans running the heavy equipment operations. The Krovar expected immediate surrender. The Keltons and wrecks evacuated to the shelters as protocol demanded. The humans grabbed mining equipment and fortified the reactor facility. A mining laser is not a weapon. It is designed to cut through asteroid rock, to melt ore, to process materials. In human hands, suddenly it became a weapon. The first Krovar drop troops encountered industrial equipment used in ways the manufacturers never imagined. Drilling rigs became traps. Excavators became barricades. Explosives meant for clearing rock cleared Krovar soldiers instead. The humans held the facility for 18 hours against a force 10 times their number. They only fell when the Krovar used orbital bombardment, but 18 hours was enough. Enough time to transmit detailed scans of Krovar technology, tactics, biology. Enough time for the collective fleet to mobilize. Enough time for humanity's military, such as it was, to prepare. The human admiral arrived at the collective's military headquarters with exactly 3 ships. Earth's entire offensive navy. The collective's council looked at the tactical display showing 200 Krovar warships and wondered what 3 human vessels could possibly accomplish. We need time to assemble our forces. The council's military coordinator said, "The Krovar are using quantum jamming. We cannot coordinate our fleets properly. They will hit us piecemeal, destroy us in detail. Then, we stop them here," the admiral replied, pointing at a strategic choke point. The Vortex Nebula. They have to pass through it to reach the core worlds. Dense particulate matter, interference with sensors, narrow channels. It negates their numbers advantage. It also makes fleet coordination impossible for us. "We do not need coordination," the admiral said. "We need chaos." The coordinator's species did not understand human expressions well, but she recognized intensity when she saw it. "Explain your strategy." The Krovar fight like conquerors. Overwhelming force, direct approach, shock and awe. They expect resistance to fold. It has worked for them for 2 centuries because they have only fought species that value preservation over victory. The admiral pulled up the files from the mining colony. Humans do not fold. We have been fighting each other for thousands of years. We know every dirty trick, every desperate tactic, every way to make a superior enemy bleed. 3 ships cannot stop 200. No, the admiral agreed. But 3 ships can make 200 hesitate, can make them doubt, can make them angry enough to make mistakes. You need a week to assemble your forces. I will buy you that week. The coordinator looked at the human. Small species, light gravity evolution, short lifespan. Statistically insignificant in the collective's demographics. You will die. Probably, the admiral acknowledged. But dying for a purpose is acceptable. Dying while running is not. Humans have a saying, if you are going to go down, take them with you. We intend to take a lot of them. The human ships entered the Vortex Nebula ahead of the Krovar fleet. They were small vessels, barely cruiser-sized, designed for speed and maneuverability rather than heavy combat. Each carried experimental weapons mostly human-designed, mostly untested in real warfare. The Krovar entered the nebula confidently. Sensors were degraded but functional. The narrow channels forced them into a column formation, but that was acceptable. They would burn through whatever resistance they found. The first human ship appeared on their sensors and immediately vanished. Some kind of stealth system. Interesting, but ultimately futile. The Krovar had enough ships to saturate any area with weapons fire. Then the mines activated. Not conventional mines. Humans called them grape shot clusters. Millions of micro-projectiles propelled by shaped charges, spreading through the nebula channels. In space, they would disperse harmlessly. In the dense particulate matter of the nebula, they became clouds of shrapnel that tore through shields and hulls. The Krovar fleet's vanguard disintegrated. 30 ships destroyed in the first 5 seconds. The Krovar commander ordered evasive maneuvers, only to discover the narrow channels offered nowhere to evade. The fleet bunched together, shields overlapping, trying to present smaller targets. The second human ship struck from above. diving through a particular cloud and launching missiles. Not explosive missiles, chemical payloads. Humans called them corrosive warheads, military-grade acids that ate through Crovar hull materials. The missiles did not destroy ships immediately. They wounded them, forced them to fall back, created obstacles for the ships behind them. The Crovar commander realized the strategy. The humans were not trying to win. They were trying to slow, to damage, to degrade fleet efficiency. This was guerrilla warfare. Hit and run. Unacceptable tactics for honorable warriors. The commander ordered the fleet to divide, to pursue through multiple channels, to force the humans to commit to battle. The third human ship appeared in front of the main fleet element. It broadcast a message, a simple human phrase, "Come and take it." Then it fired its main weapon. The Crovar had excellent intelligence on most collective weapons technology. They did not have intelligence on human railgun development. The concept was simple enough: electromagnetic acceleration of projectiles. Most species used energy weapons instead because projectiles had limitations. Humans made limitations into advantages. The railgun fired a solid tungsten rod at a significant fraction of light speed. It passed through 3 Crovar ships before the nebula's density slowed it enough to stop. The kinetic energy transfer was catastrophic. Metal vaporized. Reactors breached. Ships died. The human ship did not survive its own attack. The railgun's power requirements meant it could only fire once before reactor failure. The ship melted from the inside, its hull glowing white-hot before structural collapse. But it took 18 more Crovar ships with it when the reactor detonated. For 6 days. 3 human ships killed 70 Crovar vessels. They used every trick humans had ever developed in their brutal history of warfare. Ambushes and traps, false retreats and surprise attacks, psychological warfare, and tactical deception. They made the Crovar paranoid, made them waste ammunition on sensor ghosts, made them fear the nebula's shadows. On the 7th day, the collective fleet arrived. 2,000 ships from 100 species, coordinated and ready. The Crovar, battered and demoralized, attempted to retreat. The collective did not let them. The battle lasted 40 hours. The Crovar ascendancy lost 90% of their invasion force. The survivors fled back to their territory and have not attempted another incursion. The collective held a memorial service for the human crews. All 3 ships were lost with all hands. The Admiral's final transmission, sent as her reactor went critical, was recorded and preserved. Worth it. 10 years after the Crovar War, the xenobiologist stood before the council again. Her scales were different colors now, more muted, thoughtful rather than afraid. "I was wrong," she said without preamble. "My initial assessment was incomplete. I focused on human survival capabilities. I missed what those capabilities mean in a larger context." The council, considerably expanded now with new member species, listened. Humans sat among them, representatives in their own right, no longer curiosities, but colleagues. Humans did not just survive, the xenobiologist continued. They created a survival philosophy. Every aspect of their culture, their technology, their society, is built around the principle of persistence through adversity. They assume challenges will come. They prepare for disasters they hope will never happen. They plan for the worst and work toward the best. She displayed data from the past decade. Human contributions to collective technology, medicine, infrastructure. When we asked humans to help us improve our defensive systems, they asked why we did not have redundancies. We explained redundancies were expensive. They explained extinction was more expensive. Now, every critical system in collective space has human-designed backup protocols. More data appeared. When we faced the Tharsis plague, our medical response was to quarantine and wait for vaccine development. Humans immediately began analyzing vectors, transmission methods, environmental factors. They identified the source in 3 days. We would have taken months. They think like detectives because survival on their world meant solving problems quickly. A council member, one of the newer species that joined after witnessing human actions during the HFY War, spoke up. You are describing useful traits. Why does this require a new assessment? Because I understand now what we invited into the collective, the xenobiologist said. Humans are not simply another member species. They are catalysts. They change everything they touch. Not through conquest or force, but through a fundamentally different perspective. She pulled up comparative analysis. Before human contact, the collective's research priorities focused on incremental improvements to existing technology. Safe, proven, reliable. Human researchers immediately began proposing radical alternatives. Risky experiments. Unconventional approaches. Half of their ideas fail spectacularly, but the half that succeeds advances us by decades. This seems positive. It is positive, the xenobiologist agreed. But it is also disruptive. Humans do not accept the status quo, ever. They see every system as something that can be improved. Every problem as something that can be solved. Every limitation as something that can be overcome. This is both their greatest strength and their most unsettling characteristic. She highlighted social data. Human culture is spreading. Other species are adopting human concepts. The idea of personal rights, democratic governance, trial by jury, free expression. These were not universal in the collective before. Some species find them strange, but young individuals of every species are embracing them because they resonate with something fundamental. The xenobiologist's scales shifted to purple, the color of revelation. I finally understand what humans are. They are not just survivors. They are evolution's answer to the question, what happens when you make intelligence itself an adaptive trait? They learn to survive by learning faster than their environment could kill them. And they never stopped learning. A human representative requested recognition. The council acknowledged. She stood, a middle-aged woman with gray in her hair and laugh lines around her eyes. You give us too much credit. We are not special. We are just stubborn and lucky. Any species that survived what we survived would have developed similar traits. No, the xenobiologist said firmly. We have analyzed 43 species that evolved on high-risk worlds. Most went extinct. The handful that survived did so through specialization, not generalization. They became tougher, more armored, more resistant to their environment-specific threats. You became adaptable. You learned to change yourselves rather than wait for evolution. That is unique. The human smiled. If you say so. But I think you are still missing something important. What am I missing? You are analyzing humans as if we are done, as if we reach some final form. We have not. We are still changing, still adapting. Meeting all of you, joining the collective, learning about the galaxy, this is just our next challenge. In 1,000 years, we will be different. In 10,000 years, unrecognizable. Because humans do not stop at survival. We thrive. The xenobiologist considered this. What do you want then? What is humanity's goal? The human looked around the council chamber, at the dozens of species represented, the hundreds of worlds, the billions of individuals. We want everyone to thrive. Because we learned something else from almost dying repeatedly. We learned that survival alone is not enough. You need purpose. You need connection. You need something worth surviving for. She gestured at the view screen showing the galaxy. Out there are millions of species who have not achieved space travel yet. Billions of individuals living on worlds that are trying to kill them, just like Earth tried to kill us. Some will make it. Some will not. But the ones who do will need help. They will need guidance. They will need to know they are not alone. You want to uplift primitive species? A council member asked skeptically. No, the human said. Uplifting is arrogant. We want to be available when species achieve sapience on their own. We want to say, welcome. Here is what we learned. Here are our mistakes, so you do not have to repeat them. Here is our hand if you want to take it. We want to share what saved us. Knowledge, cooperation, hope. The xenobiologist's scales flickered through a spectrum of colors. Understanding, finally complete. You want to pay it forward. Exactly, the human confirmed. The collective gave us a chance. Welcomed us despite being strange and scary. Worked with us despite our flaws. Let us contribute despite being young and reckless. Now, we want to do that for others. Because that is what survivors do. We help the next generation survive. The council debated for hours after. Some members worried about human expansion, human influence, human change. Others celebrated it. Eventually, consensus emerged. Humans were dangerous, yes. Humans were disruptive, absolutely. But humans were also exactly what the collective needed. A species that refused to accept that problems were unsolvable. A species that had survived the unsurvivable and learned compassion from it. A species that looked at a vast, dangerous galaxy and saw opportunity instead of threat. The vote was recorded. Humans would be granted full exploration rights. Human vessels could venture beyond collective space, could make contact with new species, could represent the collective's values to the wider galaxy. The xenobiologist watched the human representative after the vote. The woman was talking with other delegates, laughing about something, completely at ease among species that would have terrified her ancestors. What are you thinking? The xenobiologist asked, approaching. The human smiled. I am thinking about all the species out there who are right now facing their own extinction events. The disasters that will either kill them or make them stronger. And I am thinking that when they reach for the stars, when they finally escape their deadly worlds and wonder if they are alone, we will be here to say, no, you are not alone. We understand. We survived too. Welcome to the bigger universe. That is very optimistic. Yes, the human agreed. Optimism is also something you learn from almost dying. You learn that tomorrow is not guaranteed. So you might as well make today matter. You might as well try to build something better. You might as well hope. The xenobiologist's scales settled into gold, the color of deep respect. I wrote a report once that said humans were dangerous. I was right. But I understand now what kind of dangerous you are. You are the dangerous that challenges us to be better. The dangerous that refuses to let us become complacent. The dangerous that survived extinction and decided the lesson was not to fear, but to hope. Is that good or bad? It is necessary, the xenobiologist said. The galaxy is vast and full of threats. The Crover were not the first and will not be the last. The collective needs species that know how to face extinction and spit in its face. We need survivors. We need humans. The human laughed. Well, you have us now, for better or worse. We are not going anywhere. No, the xenobiologist agreed, looking at the human with her strange forward-facing predator eyes, her fragile gravity-challenged body, her impossibly short lifespan. You are not, because humans do not quit. You never have. 3 million years of almost dying taught you that. And now you are here, in a galaxy that has no idea what is about to hit it. Should the galaxy be worried? The xenobiologist thought about human innovation, human persistence, human refusal to accept limits. She thought about what 3 ships did to an invasion fleet. She thought about how quickly humans had integrated into the collective and started changing it from within. She thought about what humans would become given 1,000 years, 10,000, 1,000,000. Yes, she said honestly, the galaxy should definitely be worried. But not about conquest, about transformation. Because humans do not destroy. You adapt. And you make everything around you adapt too. That is your superpower. Not surviving, evolving, taking what almost killed you and making it your strength. The human nodded. That is what happens when you survive what was meant to kill you. You learn the lessons. You keep the scars. You remember the cost. And you make absolutely certain that your survival meant something. That all those who did not make it, all those ancestors who died so you could live, that their sacrifice mattered. And how do you make it matter? The human looked at the stars displayed on the view screen. Countless lights in the darkness, each one a sun with planets that might hold life. Species facing their own trials, their own moments of potential extinction. By making sure we are not the last ones to survive, she said quietly. By making sure every species that comes after us has a better chance than we did. By turning our experience into wisdom that we can share. That is how humans honor our dead. That is how we make meaning from suffering. We survive, and then we help others survive. It is what we do. It is what we are. The xenobiologist understood then, completely, and finally, what humans were. They were not conquerors or destroyers. They were teachers, guides, big brothers and sisters to younger species. Survivors reaching back to help others through the same fires that had forged them. Dangerous? Yes, but the good kind of dangerous. The kind the galaxy needed. Humanity had survived what was meant to kill them. Now, they would spend eternity making sure others could do the same. And that, the xenobiologist realized, was the most human thing of all.